This mini lecture starts with the phylum Arthropoda. So we had made it all the way up here to the arthropods. So now we get to this very successful group that includes the Chelicerates, the spiders, the centipedes, the millipedes, the insects, the crustaceans. It's a huge group. So Arthropoda, arthro means joint and poda means leg or appendage. So Arthropoda means jointed appendages. This is an example here, our grasshopper. So it has a joint now. It has a joint here and a joint here. So that's a nice feature that you can actually flex your body parts or your appendages. In insects, they have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen, but that's not true of all arthropods. Mouthparts are important in classifying the arthropods. So notice these two different types. One is the mandible that you would have on a grasshopper, for example, and the other are the chelicerae that you would have on a spider. So do you notice one is more like piercing mouth parts, it's sort of grab and pierce, and this is more chewing, the chewing mouth part. This is the one that's just kind of eating the leaves off something, and this is piercing some prey. So quite different, right? Chelicerae and mandibles. There are lots of arthropods. Arthropods outnumber humans by more than 200 million to 1. These guys have done really well evolutionarily. They do well, they adapt to their environment, they're awesome. And they've just done so well on this earth. They have a lightweight exoskeleton. So if it's an exoskeleton, it means their skeleton is on the outside. And if you have a skeleton on the outside, you can't grow any bigger unless you get rid of your skeleton, grow a little, and then get a new skeleton. So that's what molting is. And we talked about that earlier. This group has developed systems. They have developed circulatory system, a developed respiratory system, excretory and nervous system. So they're pretty sophisticated. This is a molted crab. So this is just the shell left behind. This is a picture actually that we took at the slough on a field trip with the students from Bio 11A. And that's one of the crabs that's in Elkhorn Slough. I want to also look at some of the classes of arthropods because there's so many of them. It's hard to not divide them into smaller groups. So the smaller group that we divide them into are classes, and there are those that have the mouth parts that are piercing mouth parts, the Chelicerates, and those, look at them. See if you recognize any. Pycnogonida, you might not recognize. Xiphosura, you might not recognize. Arachnida, yeah, that one you recognize for sure. Then there's a trilobite that's extinct. Don't have them anymore. Very cool to collect those. And then the mandibulata here. So crustaceans, I'm sure you recognize a crustacean. Myriapods, you might or might not. We'll go look at them. And the Insecta, of course, you recognize. So you recognize half of these, really. The arachnids, crustaceans, and the Insecta. These are all a class of arthropod. Let's go on to see what they look like. This is just a review of the Chelicerae, kind of like fangs, grasping and piercing, and the chewing mandibles. And that was because I was showing you here the Chelicerata and the mandibulata. Okay, two different groups. In the Chelicerata, with those with fang-like appendages, they include horseshoe crabs. These guys are so cool. You see them in Florida. Don't see them around here. Ticks, see them around here, we don't want them. Spiders and scorpions. These are the Chelicerates. All of these have biting mouth parts. We know because ticks will attach onto you, correct? Don't want to go near scorpions either. All right, so I'm going to give it away and tell you who's who here. The Pycnogonida are sea spiders. I'll show you pictures. Xiphosura are the horseshoe crabs. Spiders you know. Crustacea you know, the lobsters, crabs. Myriapods are the millipedes, and the Insecta are the insects that you knew already. So let's move on. Pycnogonida, the first one on my list there. They're all marine arthropods. They're beautiful. They are sea spiders, but they're gorgeous with these long legs. During the in-person semester, we visit the Elkhorn Slough, and we do see some tiny sea spiders there. Very, very cool to see. The Xiphosura, that's the size of a horseshoe crab. This is a picture taken in Florida. This one's dead, obviously, but these remain unchanged for about 230 million years. Can you believe that it's such an old organism? It hasn't changed. It still lives like this amazingly ancient organism. Very cool. The arachnids, they are terrestrial and they are 8-legged, and not everybody loves them. And the crustaceans that you sort of knew, the crabs, the shrimp, and the lobsters. Same class. The Myriapoda are the millipedes and the centipedes. So this is the difference. Millipedes have, for every little section, they have 2 legs on each side. So 4 legs per section. And this only has 1 leg per side. They're also really different if you're going to handle them, because this one, that's the centipede, we'll put a C on that one for centipede, this one bites, and the millipede does not. The millipede protects itself a different way. It secretes from its mouth, it secretes this stinky chemical. So when a bird wants to go eat it, it secretes this chemical and the bird just drops it. It has no interest in keeping it or trying to eat it. These guys, the little ones, don't pose much of a problem unless you're in Hawaii, and then there's these huge ones that go into your bed and things that are dreadful, and the bite is extremely painful. So those are centipedes. Those are the Myriapoda. And the fabulous insects that I, of course, like. There's about 5 million species. The diversity is gigantic. The insects are the ones that make up most of the arthropod diversity. And they are fabulous, as you can see in these pictures, and beautiful. So all that was to talk about the group of the arthropods. And now we're going to go up to the deuterostomes and join the echinoderms and eventually the chordates. So let's go to the Echinodermata. Echinoderm means skin that is spiny, that's prickly. So these include the sea stars, the sea cucumbers, the sand dollars, the urchin. All these are spiny skinned or echinoderms. There is a wonderful video that I've posted for you about sea star feeding, and they have stomachs that they actually can extrude, and they bring the stomach outside into a mussel shell, eat the mussel, and then bring their stomach back inside again. Very amazing. So I want you to watch that. I'm going to stop this video, and then we'll continue on to the next phyla. Thanks for listening.